My first placement. Man. I'm not sure how important placements are today because as producers, we can do so many different things outside of just producing on an album of a signed artist. That's cool, but there's so many ways that we can be diversified as producers when it comes to being a professional. There's no real definition of success. You have to define that for yourself. But for me, coming from where I'm from, in North Carolina, we didn't have like a tie to the music industry or anything. So I lacked a lot of information. I was really, really green. So, you know, amongst me and my friends and my peers, getting my first placement was super important. It was something I really prayed for. So leading up to that, you know, getting down to Atlanta in 2008, many moons ago, I guess you could say, I'm down there by the good graces of my mentor and big brother, Young Lord, who was a producer for The Hitman on Bad Boy Records back in the day. At this time, I'm at the house making beats, recording any kind of artist that was coming through and doing what I could to just, you know, hopefully have my first opportunity at something major. Young Lord at the time had an artist that he was working on getting a record deal for, and his partner TNT would come by. TNT was an A&R at Columbia Records at the time, and he was behind the rapper Mims.
This is why I'm hot.
So I was working with Mims a lot. He was bringing him by, and that was like my first taste of actually getting to work with an artist. And T would pull me to the side, and he would just listen to all my beats, and we really have great conversations. We really just connected on a musical level. And he took a liking to me, and one day he came into the studio and said, "Yo, kids, I have this opportunity to do a remix." I'm like, "Cool. Who's it for?" He's like, "It's this new singer named Katy Perry. We have this song called I Kissed a Girl, and they need a remix, but like a kind of like a hip hop version of it." I'm like, "Yo, I'm your guy. Like, let's get it." Now, the thing was, Columbia reached out to a number of different producers. So I wasn't even asked to do it. T just kind of brought me into the situation. A lot of other producers were sending in and submitting their versions of it. And I promise you, I was like, I am not going to lose this opportunity. I'm getting this one. This one is mine. And I'm putting all my elbow grease and everything that I know how to do in this actual remix. By the time that first round of submissions came, they ended up accepting my version. But what it was like the first line of defense, because they weren't going to actually take it until it was completely finished. We all sent in like skeletons, from what I remember. And so they're like, "Yeah, we're going to go with that producer, Jay Kicks." And so I suggested to T, I'm like, "Yo, we should put Mims on this because it'll be a great collab of two Columbia artists." He's like, right there. And so he's like, "Yeah, let's do it." So Mims comes and does a verse for me, and then I start finishing the record. Now the record's finished, but then Goliath shows up, and I'm like, oh snap, I don't know how to mix. I have no mixing engineer. I've never mixed a song before. Like, I have to mix this to the quality of radio or whatever, but I embraced it. And me being me at the time, what I used to do was the engineers that would come to the house, when they would leave, I would open up their sessions to see what plugins they used and how those plugins actually work. And I took that knowledge and applied it to mixing this song. But now the mix took me 2 weeks to complete. But once it was done, I played it for the people that would come by the studio, and they were actually surprised that I mixed it. And I was surprised that I was actually learning how to do this, but felt really good. I felt really confident that this would be picked up. So it's time to submit it. I sent it to T, and he's like, "Cool, this sounds great. I'm going to call you in the morning and let you know." And I'm like, "Oh, great. Now I'm definitely not going to sleep." So he calls me 3 a.m. He's like, "Yo, kid, you got it." I'm like, "I got it?" He's like, "Yeah, they're going to use the remix. They're going to take it." I'm like, "What?" And in that moment, it was like a sense of relief. I was really happy. I know I probably called my mom like 3:15 right after I got off the phone with him. It was just a great moment to celebrate the journey. I started making beats at 12, and I was 22 at the time. And so throughout that entire 10 years of just wishing that moment could come, it actually showed up, and it opened up a lot of doors for me. As we all know, as history would tell it, I Kissed a Girl was #1 on Billboard for weeks, if not months. It just went through the stratosphere, and Katy Perry is who she is today. And my remix kind of hung by the coattails on that momentum. It was definitely an honor to be a part of something that was doing well in the world, and I just wanted to keep going after that. But for me, it solidified that the dream is real. You know, like I said, coming from like my early beginnings, there was no way I knew how to get here. And again, from the fairness and the generosity of all of those people that helped me get to this opportunity, this one opportunity, man, you have to embrace your journey. You have to look at yourself as a musician and know that good music finds a home. Good music connects you to the people that will open up the opportunities. And if that doesn't happen, create your own opportunity. It definitely does not happen the same way for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Everyone's journey is completely different. So you have to embrace your uniqueness in that too. The idea of getting a first placement, especially when I was coming into the business, was that established you, that validated so much about what you could do. And especially to the eyes and ears of the industry, you know, that was something that broke you through, depending on how big the song was or whatever. But just having that first one could raise some eyebrows. It showed me that I could really rest into where I was going next. And, you know, I'm just a believer that everything works out if you just don't stop. So, yeah, that's my first placement. Appreciate you guys watching. Shout out to all my subscribers. Like and comment on the video, and I'll see you guys in the next story. Peace. J Kids.